if we don't come to their aid in lieu of what Iran is doing right now. I hope that that's what happens, but I'm not holding my breath, because if we get involved, you've already got Putin that has said that Russia will back Iran fully. Pakistan has said that they will back Iran fully. Do they realize what we're walking into here? This is not Iraq. This is not Afghanistan. This is not Libya. This is not Syria. This is not Lebanon. This is not Somalia. This is potentially World War end times type stuff. Very serious. And I just feel like we're screaming into the ether, and I don't know who the hell with positions of power are actually listening right now. And that's my greatest concern. Who that can actually make a difference is listening right now. That's my fear.
Well, you could have said the same thing right after the Archduke was assassinated in Sarajevo in 1914.
1914.
And as Barbara Tuchman so adequately called it, the march to folly started anyway. And I see those kind of dominoes kind of poised to start falling in this situation. It's just so ripe for that, because Israel may become existentially threatened, or think it is. Both are the same thing, really, if you think about it for a moment. And then the United States is going to go in. And if we go in, it's a different conflict, totally different conflict, as you've pointed out. Just as it was a totally different conflict when we started the ball rolling for World War I. Now they had automatic mobilization tables and other things like that that helped them do this. But the march to folly is the march to folly. And that's what it looks like.
Hey, guys, let me interrupt just one moment. I keep my television on like I'm in a war room, and I'm seeing some breaking news. I can't confirm it or not, but they're saying, Trump, we have just completed our successful attack on 3 nuclear sites in Iran. So that's blaring on my television right now on CNN.
Roland, is this the tweet? Is that what you want? Is that what that truth? So you want to pull it up? All right. Well, listen, this is a very important moment here, so I'm going to break it to everybody. We have completed our very successful attack on the 3 nuclear sites in Iran, including Fordow, Natanz, and Estifan. All planes are now outside of Iran airspace. A full payload of bombs, beautiful bombs, was dropped on the primary site, Fordow. All planes are safely on their way home. Congratulations to our great American warriors. There is not another military in the world that could have done this. Now is the time for peace.
Get out of here.
Thank you for your attention to this, Matt. What is this, like an emergency broadcast system message that he's putting out there?
Let me make a prediction here now, because I know something about these weapon systems, and I'm sure Dennis does too. This is going to be the same thing as with the Houthis, al-Ansar. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. They're going to bounce a little rubble, and because at that particular site, the meter depth is in excess of the type bomb that the B-2 would drop can penetrate. So when they clean everything up and open the doors again, it'll still be there. Now, will Trump admit to that? Will we admit to that? Who knows? But it'll still be there, just as we did with the Houthis. You know, we fought the Houthis to a standstill. We defeated them. Yeah, right. Right.
Well, there's 2 key things there. First of all, if they use the bombs they say they were going to use, this is the first time they've actually been used operationally. They've been tested before in the past. And so we don't know if they're going to work. And as Larry alluded to, we don't know how deep, they can actually truly, penetrate in that facility that's in mountains. So that's number one. Number 2.
We do know the meter depth that they're designed to penetrate, and we do know the meter depth that Fordow is at. And it's very much in excess of the meter depth that they're supposed to be able to penetrate.
Well said. Exactly. The second thing, well, now we've been trying to figure out, are we involved? Well, now we're involved.
Oh, we're involved.
Oh, yeah.
We're involved now. We know it for a fact now. So now, all I can tell you, all bets are off. And Peter, something I was going to mention earlier when you were talking about, listen to me good, when you mentioned about, where we could be headed. Putin is on record to say he offered help. The Iranians say, hey, we don't want the help. others in that region that are allied to Iran said, hey, this is our battle right now. We'll call you when we're ready. There are folks standing by. Even Hezbollah has come online. People said, oh, Hezbollah, they're no longer strong. They can't participate. They have come online and said, hey, when Iranians, when the leadership tell us jump in, they're going to jump in. And I'm telling you now, I'll be up all night now because they will respond to this because now we have involved ourselves in it now officially.
Yeah, there's no, I mean, from your perspective, I know this is obvious, this just happened in the last 15 minutes, but from where you stand, based on what he's suggesting, how devastating of an attack is this, or is this more surface level to make it seem like we really did some devastating work here? How would you perceive it?
Well, first thing is, I read up yesterday on both the type of bombs. I suspect the type of bomb we used was, as Dennis said, the penetrator and not the above ground airburst. I think we're probably going to, this is just speculation. I think we're based on what we did with Yemen. I think we're going to announce that it was really fantastic, just like you're seeing there in that release. We're going to have to wait and see what the Iranians say to really get a BDA, a bomb damage assessment. And I don't think the Iranians will be, I don't think they'll confuse it. I think they'll probably present it either way. If it did do damage, which I doubt very seriously, maybe they can't get into it for a while, but they can dig it out. But if it did that, they'll say that. They'll say that. If it didn't do anything, they'll say that too. They won't brag about it. They'll just say, well, we brushed the rock away and we're back inside again. Or they might say, as the IAEA has confirmed about Natanz, we have radioactivity all over the place and we've got to do something about it. That could be a result also. The other possibility is that Iran will make its decision, and it'll make its decision that the United States is in the war, and by God, they're going to attack. That's the worst possible thing that could happen because we have a lot of boys and girls over there who are in places like Bahrain and Qatar who are more or less defensive. They could be
sitting ducks. They could be sitting ducks.
They're not combat troops. They're mostly support troops. And
right.
I understand at Al Udeid, other than the aircraft that are actually there, there's no air defenses.
Yeah, I was just going to say that, Larry. That's the thing. They don't have the air defenses that Israel have above them, and we see that Iran is getting through. And so there are sitting ducks, and you're talking about approximately, 40,000. I don't know the numbers. That's what I've heard.
It's about 50,000, I think.
Yeah.
Counting the 5th Fleet headquarters in Bahrain. Yeah.
And so guess what? Iran has a right to defend themselves.
Oh, they do. And honestly,
we've also got that huge reception and ongoing facility in Kuwait. I mean, there's scattered troops all over the place, and they're all non-combat.
And they're closer to Iran than Israel.
Yes.
Do you see a situation where Iran retaliates by attacking one of our bases?
As I said, if they think this is the United States entering the fray and that's what they're up against now is a combination of both Israel and the United States, then there's a possibility. There is a possibility.
Hey, Peter, as I've said before, I can give you assumption, facts, and opinions. I can give you a fact. They've responded in the past after the assassination of Soleimani.
Yes.
And so do they have the capability? Yes. My assumption, I think they will eventually attack.
And people forget two things I would bring up. One is right after the revolution, they were in disarray, no question about it. Saddam Hussein took advantage of that and pulled a surprise attack on them. He regretted that. He regretted it shortly thereafter because the Iranians got themselves together. They put forces in the field and they pushed the Iranian or the Iraqi army back and would have gone to Baghdad probably, but we helped Iraq. We weighed in and helped Iraq and we sort of stabilized the front lines. At the same time, think about what we did in Operation Earnest Will and Operation let's see, the other one, I forget the name of it now, but it followed Ernest's will. We actually reflagged Kuwaiti tankers and escorted them out of the Persian Gulf. We took some damage to our warships. In doing that, we hit a mine that the Iranians had planted, almost lost the ship. We also attacked 2 of their destroyers. We sank one, and we were going to sink the second one. Praying Mantis was the name of the exercise or the operation. And Ronald Reagan called us off. So that was when Iran was very weak in terms of conventional warfare vis-a-vis the United States. And when, incidentally, we were very strong. We aren't that strong today. Iran is a lot stronger. So you're looking at the possibility of some real combat and some real ships getting sunk and planes getting shot out of the air and all manner of things happening, including these people over there that are on these bases that don't have any defenses getting killed. I mean, this is just the recipe for what I was saying. Then what do? Well, we've taken some hits from Iran. Now we really are angry. Now the American people are angry too, and the polls are going the other way. Now we're in for a penny, in for a pound. We're going to invade. I mean, we're talking about a real war.
Hey,
Approximately.
Peter, go ahead. I'm going to switch upon you real quick. There may be some of your audience that disagree with me on this, but I don't care. This is not about domestic policy anymore. This is about the world and international policy. This is the one thing that could bring Republicans, Democrats, conservatives, progressives together. This is one time that I'm in the camp of Tucker Carlson. I can't stand Bannon, but I'm in the camp of Bannon. And this is where we all should come together as United States of American citizens and put our outrage right now. We should also be on the calls because we saw this happen in Iraq. And as Larry just mentioned, this can be worse. They talk about a cakewalk in Iraq. 4,500 military members died and millions of Iraqis died. Now, we've really started something with Iran, as I'll say again, who have ballistic missiles that are very powerful. They have a network that they can let loose. And oh, by the way, the thing we haven't talked about yet, we are not immune here at home because I feel confident. I don't know, but I feel confident they have terrorist cells here and they have a right. So we, United States of America, if we don't like this, we better start letting our leadership know we don't like it because we're complicit, because our government is representing us right now. So we need to let our words and mouths be known that we don't condone this. And that includes Republicans, Democrats, independents, and everybody.
The first response, if Iran really wants to bring this country to its knees, is simply this. Approximately 20% of the world's oil supply and seaborne natural gas shipments passes through the Strait of Hormuz daily. That is around 18 million barrels. Iran has the power to shut off that strait like that, close it. Now, it will obviously probably spark a global recession if they do it. But if they did do it, I mean, the price of gasoline in this country will go probably to $7 a gallon within a day. Like
we would go immediately to try and open it. That's what I'm talking about. All of these things lead to a wider, deeper, more profound war. We would put the Fifth Fleet in there and we would try to reopen the strait. That's exactly what we did when we reflagged Kuwaiti tankers and we conducted Operation Praying Mantis. But Iran was much less capable then. And we were far more capable. We are less capable now, and Iran is far more capable. So we're talking about a real slugging match. And by the way, when we ran the simulation in 2009 in Beijing, we did this. We took the strait and closed it. Oil went to $300 a barrel overnight. Shippers wouldn't ship and insurers wouldn't insure. So you're talking about what you just said times 10. You're talking about an economic crisis that Putin will love because he'll be selling oil at $300 a barrel.
Yeah, let me tell you, blowing up that Nord Stream pipeline, that was a thing of genius by the Biden administration. Let me tell you.
Yeah. When Larry mentioned about the carriers they put in there, once again, closer to Iran, where we haven't talked about the rockets they have. We've been talking about missiles. We haven't talked about the UAVs they have. We've been talking about missiles, the rockets they have. I mentioned about the Iraq war, 4,500 throughout that war. I want you to know how many people are on those carriers. If one of those carriers went down, you're talking about in the thousands at one shot.
5,000. Counting the air
I thought it was 4,000. So anyway, 4 to 5,000.
Counting the air wing, 5,000. Yeah. And here's another thing that most Americans don't understand. A Navy admiral wrote an article about this in Proceedings a year or so ago. There are not enough escort ships to pick up the survivors if any of them are in the water.
I mean, you really have to ask yourself, is anybody in Trump's ear right now that is telling him that you have reached the point of no return? That they're
all telling him the opposite. They're telling him, go, 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 go. That's my judgment.
Yeah, as far as we know, there are 40,000 U.S. troops on the ground in Iran. There's at least 90,000 in the Middle East that we know of. Lord knows, especially at the level of the level of secrecy that you were privy to. There are, I don't know, probably 1,000 bases around the world, but there's probably hundreds we don't know about, certain places in the Greek islands and, just different spots that people are just not aware of. But all of these places are now targets, all of them. And, I feel terrible for anybody who is serving right now that is over there, that it's not even reconnaissance. It's just, we're standing a post at some, makeshift embassy or whatever. Well, now you could definitely be targeted for assassination. Like there will be a response to this. What that's going to look like, obviously, we're going to have to wait and see. But Trump is acting like a freaking madman right now. And the reason he's doing it is because our country has married itself to this genocidal Zionist state that has to fall. It must fall. And if there is going to be retaliation, and perhaps this argument for retaliation is because of the fact that we are beating the living crap out of Israel right now, well, now we have to end Israel, or it's going to end us, because they will drag us straight to hell with them. And at some point, there has to be sort of this cutting of the cord. It just has to be. It's either them or us, or maybe it's both of us.
The crunch there, though, could come. I go back to 1973, and the BBC reporter that called Golda Meir knew her really well, usually sent her roses and that sort of thing. So he was always the first BBC reporter she would talk to. And you know what was happening in 73. And he asked her in the course of the conversation, was there any truth to the Samson option? Was it the case that if Israel were in existential straits, it would use a nuclear weapon? And she didn't pause at all. She said, of course.
Yeah.
And here's the thing on that surprised me. I don't know how true it is. As part of that, there are a couple of U.S. cities that are on that list as part of the Samson option, believe it or not.
I wouldn't doubt it.
Yeah, this is a very, very dangerous situation for many reasons. I don't believe, I've been very adamant about this. I think that this just comes down to, it doesn't matter who's in charge. If Kamala was president right now, you're talking about the ultimate yes person who would just do what they're told. They're along for the ride. We saw what happened when Biden was in there. Trump is obviously a little bit of a different animal because he really does believe that he is the commander in chief, that the buck stops with him, and that he calls all the shots. Maybe he calls some, maybe he doesn't. I don't know. All I know right now is that there is no soft landing here. This was an attack that didn't have to happen. This so-called, we're going to give a 2-week grace period, and it's only been 3 or 4 days, and then decides to just do this. And then he comes out with, and now is the time for peace. Now is the time for peace. The time for peace was well before Israel attacked Iran. Do you gentlemen, I know we've obviously been chatting for a while and it's tremendously appreciated that you're here this evening, but do you see any circumstance where there could potentially be some type of a mutiny if they try to send these troops into harm's way and they don't want to be a part of this? Is there any possibility that there could be some type of a mutiny amongst the armed forces?
I think the all-volunteer force is relatively immune to that. If it were a conscripted force, I might give you a different answer, but I think he can count on the all-volunteer force to do whatever it is he orders them to do until they fall apart. I mean, we saw that with Iraq. We didn't break the force in Iraq necessarily. We did a lot of people, gave them PTSD and other traumatic brain injury and suicidal tendencies and such, but we did break the families. That was the key. I mean, we broke a lot of families with the all-volunteer force in Iraq and Afghanistan too. But I mean, they're not very big. See, that's the other thing here. We think we have this huge ground force that we could put into harm's way at the drop of a pin. We do not. Our ground force is absolutely tiny compared to what it was in previous years. I mean, just even at the end of the Cold War, we had more troops. We don't have a big force now. Throw the Marine Corps in there, throw the Army in there. You're not talking about a big force. And oh, by the way, the United States Army Reserve was 40% short on recruiting last year. And before that, it was 35% short. It's a hollow force. Now, you want to wake up to some realities really swiftly. Go ahead and start a war with Iran.